Pecron recently swerved into a new lane, 12-volt batteries, which is sort of, but not really in line with what we're used to seeing from Pecron. Pecron is known in the portable power space for making honestly affordable, great performing, and for the price, really good power stations. They have made dedicated batteries in the past, like this EP3000 right here, that we have praised for being much more than just a battery. So can this new 12 volt, 200 amp hour battery from Pecron live up to the hype from its last battery? Or are you better off just going with a 12 volt battery from a brand that's already trusted in that space? So welcome back to the lab where our opinions cannot be bought. We have had this 12 volt, what is the denomination of this thing?
The WB12200.
WB, he said it, 12 volt, 200 amp hour battery from Pecron here at the lab for over a month now. And we have been running tons of testing on it and messing around with it, trying to determine if this is something we would recommend for you guys to spend your hard-earned money on. A lot of times you'll see people buy something like this, especially from a power station company, and try to use it as an expansion battery for an existing power station they have, which works. It's not entirely what we would recommend you use this for, and we'll get into why a little bit later. Before we get into that, as always, we have links to all the products that we talk about in today's video in the description down below, as well as any coupon codes that we can get for you guys to help you guys save any money where possible. We also have a link to our power station quiz in case you don't know exactly what you want. 30-second quiz gives you an instant recommendation based on your needs. But before we get into our experience with this battery, all the things that we really liked, and all the things that we really didn't, we're gonna hit you guys with a super quick spec teardown to get you up to speed on the Pecron WB1...
12200, it makes sense, 12 volt, 200 amp hours.
Oh. First up, this thing passes the tiny baby lift test. It weighs about 48.5 pounds, passes super easy, nice little rope handles built right in here. It is a 2,560 watt hour battery bank. It's a 12 volt battery rated for 200 amp hours. You can actually parallel up to 16 of these guys together for a total battery capacity of up to 40 kilowatt hours. In terms of power, this thing can put out 200 amps from the terminals and input 100 amps, or so they say, for charging speed. So basically you can drain this thing in an hour and you can charge it in 2 hours. If you take a look at the design, there's actually 2 positive and 2 negative terminals on this battery. You have a built-in inline fuse right here underneath the rubber door. On this side, you have 2 communication ports. These are meant more for paralleling multiple batteries or running a gauge. If you were to put this in something like a golf cart, you can get a voltage gauge. They're not really for connecting it to inverters and that kind of thing. And there's also an XT90 port, which we will get into, has a ton of plugs that you can plug into there. You got your power button with all of your little battery percentage lights on the side. There's no screen or anything on this. And overall, it's a pretty solid design. It's pretty durable. The top is a little bit more plasticky than the sides. You can take these handles and you can actually unbolt them and bolt them in a ton of different places to the battery to kind of conform it to whatever space you're trying to put it in. They also come with flat plates, so you could basically put this plate right here and then put another battery beside it and bolt them together, which is kind of cool. You also get something like this flat plate. This goes over your terminals. We just have it off so you guys can actually see them. If you have this right here, it allows you to stack another battery on top properly and have it distribute the weight on not just the terminals and be kind of off balance, which is nice. It is kind of dumb though when it's installed. It only opens that high. So I don't even know why it opens. It should just come off. The BMS in this does connect to an app. You can turn it on and off in terms of the load. You can update it, monitor the battery, do a little bit of stuff inside of that app that you obviously can't do directly from the battery itself. The battery is heated so it can keep itself warm. There's actually 2 modes that you can control from in the app. And right now, at the time of filming this video, this battery with our discount code is $379. We're gonna get started with the things that we really like about this battery. And I think the first and biggest thing is these mounting handles. You can unbolt these. Right now they're handles and they're not very good. I don't really actually like them as handles. I prefer the ropes. You can unbolt these handles and you can bolt them to the back side and then screw it to a wall. You can bolt it to the bottom and screw it to a floor. You can, like I showed you earlier, take that plate, put them side by side and bolt them together so they don't slide around. Basically just meaning this is really good for a recreational person. The people that are going to use this will be able to secure it where they need to super simply, and we really like that. The Husky 2 was the first battery that we ever saw that did that, and this one just did a great job of basically doing the exact same thing. We also like that this is heated. I feel like the recreational person who's going to buy this battery is going to appreciate that, and there's two modes. So there's basically a heat when charging mode. So you can have this thing only run the heaters when it is charging. It won't use any battery to keep itself warm if it's just kind of sitting idle. And there's a keep warm mode, which is supposed to keep it from freezing, even if it's just sitting there. So if you have it in something like your cabin and overnight it's barely being used and it gets cold overnight, if it's on keep warm mode, when you get back to it in the morning, it won't be frozen solid and not work, which is pretty cool. It does consume power to keep it warm, obviously, but it is something that we do like, and it did work pretty well in our testing. And something huge with this battery is this XT90 DC port right here. This allows you to do all kinds of stuff with this battery. Not only is it just a good 12 volt, but if you were to pick up something like this U20 kit, it kind of gives you the best example of what this could actually be used for. Inside of this kit, there is tons of different adapters and plugs and wires that you can do so much stuff with. To give you an example, you could take this plug right here, plug that in, and you could charge it with solar panel. You could also take it and charge it from your car while you're driving with a 12 volt car socket, which is cool. You could also use this to charge from a power station. If you had a power station nearby, plug this in, plug it into your power station. You can also use this to charge basically as an expansion battery for your power station if you wanted to. Like we said earlier, we don't really recommend it, but there is the right adapters that you can have right here. And you can basically run a cable to the adapter, plug it into the solar input of your power station, and use it to charge it. The thing is, the cells don't balance as fast and it doesn't disperse energy as quick as a dedicated expansion battery. So in that use case, I wouldn't really recommend it. I think getting something like the EP3000 is actually better. That has the USBs built right into it. Overall, it's a better battery. Like, it does what it's supposed to do better than this one in terms of being an expansion battery. This is a 12 volt battery that has the pro of being also able to be used to expand your system if you have one. And it's cool that they do sell this. This is like 120 bucks. I'm sure if you just needed one cable, you could buy like a $10 cable or something, but they sent us this with the battery and it's honestly pretty sick. Don't know if it's worth the money. Something else that's kind of unique to this battery actually is if you take a look at the top, there's two terminals right here. And one side of these terminals is actually dead. There is no power to it, which we spent the first couple hours with this battery trying to figure out why it didn't work. We were putting power to the wrong terminals. But what's cool with this is a lot of times when you're setting something up, you need to run an inline fuse. So you'll actually end up wiring a wire to the terminal, then somewhere along your wiring mess, you'll have an inline fuse and then your wiring continues. This allows you to basically put the fuse to the dead terminal and then put your wire off of there. So your inline fuse is already built into the battery. You don't have to have it as a mess in your stack of wiring that's going all over the place. And the last thing that we really liked with this was some of the testing results. This battery runs amazingly. Like, it surges really well. It's rated for 200 amps of output, which is 2,500 watts. We ran a 3,000 watt load with an inverter that was new to us. We didn't realize the inverter was consuming an additional 700 watts. So we were basically running a 3,700 watt load off of this, and it ran nonstop until it overheated. So like, it is actually really powerful and it'll do a bit more than it's rated for. The main fuse up here that's rated for 300 amps was not super happy. It didn't blow, but it was very hot. But in terms of all of our surging tests and everything, this put out as much as that inverter would allow us to. We also like the solar testing. It can take 50 amps of DC input through a car charger or through a solar panel, which is pretty good. It's a little bit slow, but in an application like this, 4 hours to fully charge this if it's out in the sun all day is not terrible. It's cool that it has the ability to do that. That does lead us into some of the things we don't like though, which was some of our testing results. For some reason, this battery isn't 100% efficient. If you watch this channel, you know that I always say batteries are 100% efficient. If they're not, you have a problem. This one was 93% efficient. We can't figure out where that extra power is going. Part of me thinks that like the heating in this, because we've had it in and out of cold climates, it's for some reason triggered and it's not turning off, and the heating coils are consuming a little bit of power. Part of me thinks maybe the BMS is just power hungry. I'm not really sure, but this battery refuses to be 100% efficient on output. And when it comes to the input, it's rated for 100 amps, and we weren't able to get it past 75. It would continuously trip itself after 75, which only means if you're running this at full capacity, like if you were buying this to push it to the limit, you might run into some problems. If you were gonna just use it casually, you'll probably never even notice those things, but they are worth noting. We also don't love that Pecron didn't make this waterproof. It's IP54 rated, which isn't bad, but a lot of the other 12 volt batteries, most other 12 volt batteries are fully weatherproof, which makes sense, especially if you're selling this for a recreational person who maybe is going to put it in a boat. It's awesome that you can just bolt it to the floor. It's not awesome that it can get wet and get ruined. The manual says that this comes with 4 terminal bolts, which you see right here, the lugs, and 16 little screws that go in these holes to basically allow you to bolt the handle to multiple places or have multiple handles installed at once, neither of which it came with. We had to get our own terminal lugs, which is why there's so many washers on them, and we didn't get any of the little screws. So not the biggest thing, but we did bring it up to Pecron. They acknowledged it, but didn't really have much to say about it. So hopefully it was just a screw up on the one we got. Hopefully they're not selling these to everybody missing those things. And the final thing is that Pecron, being Pecron, not perfect. Their website has some information backwards. For example, the charging and discharging temperatures are flipped. So we kept running into this issue with our testing where it wasn't doing what it said it was supposed to do, but it was doing the exact opposite. And then when you reference the charging and discharging temperatures of most power stations, especially from Pecron, they are the exact opposite. So there is some mislabeling on their website, and it's the same in their manual, product sheets, stuff like that. They just went ahead and got it wrong everywhere, which is great for them. So who is this battery for? I would say this battery is for someone who is passionate about what they're doing. And what I mean by that is you could get any 12-volt battery, drop it in your boat, and it'll get the job done. Trailer, RV, whatever it is. This gives you that ability to nicely install it with the mounting brackets on the bottom. You can have your inline fuse, you can control it from the app and do a bunch of stuff. It's just like a more legit, cool feeling setup to have. If you're just looking to get the job done, there is better bang for your buck products out there. You can go to WattCycle's website and get a battery that is the same specs as this. It's just a little bit cheaper, but you do get just a traditional 12-volt battery. There's not a whole lot to it. So personally, this is something that I would actually love and use because I like the ability to go just a little bit above and beyond. I completely understand if you're just trying to do the job and get an entry-level battery and you don't need all of this. If you're trying to expand your power station, you can use this. It doesn't perform the same way. It doesn't cell balance as quick and it doesn't output as much power as a specific expansion battery would. I think it's great if you already have a power station, hook them up, they can be buddies, but I wouldn't buy this as an expansion battery for your power station. Regardless, let us know what you guys think. We will leave links to this in the description as well as the coupon codes we can get from Pecron. That is all we got for you guys. We will catch you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out and stay charged.